Hello students, in previous lectures we have completed the properties on RS integral, and now in this lecture we will see some theorems of RS integral. So let's start with this first theorem. Here it is given that f is continuous on AB, and firstly we have to prove that f belongs to R of alpha, that is our f is Riemann-Stieltjes integral, and next we have to prove that for all epsilon greater than 0 there exists delta greater than 0 such that mod of summation I from 1 to n f of ti del alpha I minus integral f d alpha is less than epsilon, and this condition holds for every partition P of AB such that mu of P, that is norm, is less than delta for every choice of points Ti in the subinterval xi minus 1 xi. So let's start with the given. Here f is continuous. F is continuous on AB. So therefore it is uniformly continuous on AB. It is uniformly continuous on AB. And by the definition of continuity we have for every epsilon greater than 0 there exists delta greater than 0 such that T1 minus T2 less than delta implies f of T1 minus f of T2 less than epsilon for T1 T2 belongs to interval AB. Let's give it number 1. Now since f is continuous, it attains bound on AB. It attains bound on AB. So let small mi and capital Mi be GLB, that is greatest lower bound, and LUB, that is lowest upper bound of f on subinterval xi minus 1 xi. Therefore there exist points T1, T2 belongs to this interval xi minus 1 xi such that f of T1 is equals to greatest lower bound mi and f of T2 is equals to lowest upper bound, that is capital Mi. So by equation 1 we have T1 minus T2 less than delta implies small mi minus capital Mi less than epsilon. So with the help of mod we can write it capital Mi minus Mi less than epsilon. So we multiply by del alpha I and take summation I from 1 to n. So we have summation I from 1 to n mi del alpha I minus summation I from 1 to n small mi del alpha I is equals to summation I from 1 to n epsilon del alpha I. So by definition this is upper sum minus lower sum, which is less than epsilon, and we know del alpha summation of I from 1 to n del alpha I is alpha of B minus alpha of A. So let epsilon alpha of B minus alpha of A equals to epsilon. So therefore we have upper sum minus lower sum is less than epsilon. This implies that f belongs to R of alpha, that is f is Riemann-Stieltjes integrable on interval AB. So to prove the next result, we start from, as we have mi less than f of ti less than capital Mi for all ti belongs to xi minus 1 xi. So here once again we multiply by del alpha I and take summation from I 1 to n. So we multiply by del alpha I and take summation I from 1 to n. So we get summation I from 1 to n mi del alpha I less than summation I from 1 to n f of ti del alpha I, which is less than summation I from 1 to n mi del alpha I. So again, by definition, this is lower sum. Keep it as the between term as it is. And this is by definition upper sum. Also, we have one result, that is lower sum is less than integral f d alpha, which is less than upper sum. So let it be 2, this be 3. So from 2 and 3 we have mod of summation I from 1 to n f of ti del alpha I minus integral f d alpha less than upper sum minus lower sum. And we know that upper sum minus lower sum is less than alpha. So therefore implies mod of summation I from 1 to n f of ti del alpha I minus integral f d alpha less than epsilon for every partition P. For every partition P of interval AB, such that mu of P is less than delta. Here mu of P is norm or mesh, that is the maximum length of the interval, subinterval, for every choice of points. For every choice of points Ti in the subinterval xi minus 1 xi, and hence the theorem is proved. So let's start with the next theorem. Here it is given that f is monotonic on interval AB and alpha is also monotonic on interval AB. Alpha is monotonic increasing on interval AB, which is also continuous. So here we have to prove that f belongs to R of alpha on interval AB, that is f is Riemann-Stieltjes integrable. So let's start with given. So we have alpha as continuous function on interval AB, is continuous on AB. Therefore, as alpha is continuous on interval AB, alpha takes every value between alpha of A and alpha of B. So alpha takes every value between alpha of A and alpha of B. So we choose a partition P of this interval AB such that del of alpha I is equals to alpha of B minus alpha of A upon n. We choose partition P such that del alpha I is equals to alpha of B minus alpha of A upon n for I 1 to n. And also del alpha I to be greater than or equals to 0. Let's give it number 1. Now we know that upper sum minus lower sum can be written as summation I from 1 to n lowest upper bound minus greatest lower bound multiplied by del alpha I. From 1 we know the value of del alpha I, that is alpha of B minus alpha of A upon n, and summation I from 1 to n and capital Mi minus small m. So give it number 2. Now since given that f is monotonic, f may be monotonically increasing or f may be monotonic decreasing function. So here arises two cases. So case 1, f is monotonically increasing. F is monotonic increasing on interval AB. So as f is monotonic increasing, it is increasing. F is increasing on subinterval xi minus 1 xi. So f of xi minus 1 takes the value mi and f of xi takes the value capital Mi. So from 2 we have upper sum minus lower sum is equals to alpha of b minus alpha of a upon n multiply by f of summation I from 1 to n f of xi minus f of xi minus 1. So now we put the values of I here. So first alpha of a minus alpha of b upon n, and starting from I is equals to 1 we have f of x1 minus f of x0 plus f of x2 minus f of x1 and so on, plus f of xn minus f of xn minus 1. So these terms get cancelled with this and all these terms get cancelled. Finally the remaining terms are alpha of a minus alpha of b upon n and in bracket f of xn minus f of x0. So here xn is b and x0 is a. So we get alpha of b minus alpha of a upon n f of b minus f of a. We choose this n so large that this whole term is less than epsilon. So we choose n so large that alpha of b minus alpha of a upon n f of b minus f of a is less than epsilon, and let it be 3 and 4. So from 3 and 4 we have upper sum minus lower sum to be less than epsilon. So we can say that f belongs to R of alpha on interval AB where f is monotonic increasing. So now we will discuss the second case where f is monotonic decreasing. Case 2, f is monotonic decreasing. So as f is monotonic decreasing, f is decreasing on interval xi minus 1 xi. So f of xi minus 1 takes the value capital Mi and f of xi takes the value small mi. Therefore equation 2 implies upper sum minus lower sum to be equals to alpha of b minus alpha of a upon n multiply by summation from I 1 to n f of xi minus 1 minus f of xi. So putting the value from I 1 to n we get alpha of b minus alpha of a upon n. Here first I is equals to 1, this becomes f of x0 minus f of x1 plus f of x1 minus f of x2 plus so on plus f of xn minus 1 minus f of xn. So these terms get cancelled and the remaining terms of are alpha of b minus alpha of a upon n in bracket f of x0 minus f of xn. We know that x0 is a and xn is b. So alpha of b minus alpha of a upon n is and alpha of a minus alpha of f of a minus f of b. So here also we will choose n so large that this whole term get less than epsilon. So we choose n so large such that alpha of b minus alpha of a upon n and f of a minus f of b is less, the whole term is less than epsilon. So let it be number 4 and 5. So from, let's take it number 5 and 6. So from 5 and 6 we have upper sum minus lower sum to be less than epsilon, and this implies that f belongs to R of alpha on interval AB where f is monotonic decreasing, and hence the whole theorem is proved. Next theorem is composition theorem. Here given that f belongs to R of alpha on interval AB and the function f is greater than small m and in less than capital M. Phi is the continuous function on interval small m and capital M, and h of x is defined as phi of f of x on interval AB, and we have to prove that this h of x belongs to R of alpha, that is h is Riemann, still just integrable. So proof, given that phi is continuous on interval small m capital M, it's continuous on interval m capital M, and h of x is defined as phi of f of x on AB. Now since this m capital M is closed and bounded, it is compact. The interval m capital M is compact since it is closed and bounded by definition of compactness. Now since phi is continuous, on interval m capital M, it is uniformly continuous on the same interval. It is uniformly continuous on interval m capital M. So by definition of continuity, for given epsilon greater than 0, there exists delta greater than 0 such that s minus t less than delta implies phi of s minus phi of t less than epsilon 1 for every st belongs to the interval m capital M. Name it as y. Also, given that f belongs to R of alpha on interval AB. So, for partition P, we have upper sum minus lower sum. So, for partition P and epsilon 2 greater than 0, we have upper sum minus lower sum to be less than epsilon 2. And this is true for every epsilon 2 greater than 0. So, we choose here epsilon 2 to be equals to delta square. So therefore we have upper sum minus lower sum less than delta square, and by definition we can write it as summation I from 1 to n capital Mi minus small mi del alpha I less than delta square. Give it as number 2. Now we divide the set of indices I into two classes. Divide set of indices into two classes, say A and B. So A is equals to I such that capital Mi minus Mi is less than delta, where capital Mi is the lowest upper bound of f of x and small mi is the greatest lower bound of f of x on interval AB. And the second class B equals to I such that Mi minus small mi to be greater than or equal to delta. Now let mi star equals to the greatest lower bound of function h of x and small mi star equals to lowest upper bound. Sorry, this is lowest upper bound and this is greatest lower bound of h of x on interval ab. So now upper sum of p h alpha minus lower sum of p h alpha, here we have taken the function h, we written as summation I from 1 to n capital Mi star minus small mi star del alpha I, and we will divide the summation into two groups, that is summation I belongs to a mi star minus mi star del alpha I plus summation I belongs to b capital Mi star minus small mi star del alpha I. Give it number 3. Now for any xy belongs to the interval xi minus 1 xi, we have f of x minus f of y to be less than or equals to mi minus small mi. So now for I belongs to a, we know by the definition of a that capital Mi minus small mi is less than delta. So this implies that f of x minus f of y is less than delta, which again implies that s minus t to be less than delta, and we have taken this from 1, that is by the definition of continuity which we applied to the function phi was continuous, and here f of x is equals to x and f of y is equals to t. Now from 1 it is implies that equation 1 implies f of x minus f of y less than delta, that implies phi of f of x minus phi of f of y to be less than epsilon 1 for st belongs to the interval m capital M. So this implies that mod of h of x minus mod of h of y to be less than epsilon 1. But we have mod of h of x minus mod of h of y to be less than capital Mi star minus small mi star, and we know that Mi star minus small mi star is less than epsilon 1. Sorry, from this h of xy minus h of y is less than epsilon, and we also know that mod of h of x minus h of y is less than mi star minus small mi star. So from these two conditions we can write that mi star minus small mi star to be less than epsilon 1. So we give this number 4. Now summation I belongs to a capital Mi star minus small mi star del alpha I is less than summation I belongs to a. We know that from here mi star minus mi is epsilon 1 less than epsilon 1 and del alpha I as it is. So this implies summation I belongs to a capital Mi star minus small mi star del alpha I less than epsilon 1 and del alpha I is alpha of b minus alpha of a. Give it number 4. Now let k is equals to lowest upper bound of the function phi of t such that t belongs to the interval m and capital M, and also mi star minus small mi star is less than mod of mi star plus mod of small mi star. So this becomes k plus k, which is less than twice k. Now delta of summation I belongs to B del of alpha I is equals to summation I belongs to B del of alpha I. So which is less than summation I belongs to B capital Mi minus Mi del of alpha I, which is less than delta square. We prove this in statement 2. That is delta of summation I belongs to B del alpha I is less than delta square. So it implies dividing by delta on both sides, summation I belongs to B del alpha I is less than delta. We give it as number 5. And now we have that summation I belongs to B Mi star minus Mi star del alpha I is less than summation I belongs to B twice k del alpha I, which is less than twice k summation I belongs to B del alpha I, and in fifth we have proved that this is less than delta, therefore twice k delta by 5, and we give it as number 6. So in equation 3 we have upper sum minus lower sum to be equals to summation I belongs to A Mi star minus Mi star del alpha I plus summation I belongs to B del alpha I, and from 4 this is less than epsilon 1 alpha of B minus alpha of A. This first term is less than epsilon 1 of alpha of B minus alpha of A, and this second term from 6 is less than 2k delta, which is less than epsilon, where epsilon 1 alpha of B minus alpha of A plus 2k delta is equals to epsilon, and so therefore h of x belongs to R of alpha on AB, or you can say the function h belongs to R of alpha, and hence the theorem, composition theorem, is proved here. Next theorem is product theorem. Here two functions, namely f and g, are as integrable, that is f belongs to R of alpha and g belongs to R of alpha, and we have to prove that its product fg also belongs to R of alpha. So proof, and we will prove this theorem with the help of the previous theorem, that is composition theorem. So let f belongs to R of alpha on interval AB, and also f is bounded on interval AB. Let M and capital M be greatest lower bound and lowest upper bound of f on interval AB. Now we will define a function phi. Define function phi on interval M, capital M, such that phi of t is equals to t square, and t belongs to the interval M, capital M, and we know that this function is continuous. it is continuous on the same interval m, capital M. Now we will define the composition of function h of x. The composition of function h of x as h of x equals to phi of f of x. Since phi of t is t square, here phi of f of x is f square of x for all x belongs to interval AB. Therefore, by composition theorem, h of x belongs to R of alpha on interval AB. So, f square of x also belongs to R of alpha on AB. Now, we have 4 of f multiplied by g is equals to f plus g plus square minus f minus g square. Now, since fg belongs to R alpha on AB, since fg belongs to R alpha on AB, by property of RS integral, we have f plus g and f minus g belongs to R of alpha on interval AB. And by composition theorem, f plus g square, f minus g square also belongs to R of alpha. Similarly, f plus g square plus f minus g square belongs to R of alpha. And this is 4 f g belongs to R of alpha, and this implies f g belongs to R of alpha on interval AB, and hence the theorem is proved. Now let's start with the last theorem of this article. Here given that f belongs to R of alpha, and we have to prove that mod of f belongs to R of alpha, and also mod of integral f d alpha, which is less than integral mod f d alpha. So this theorem we will also prove with help of composition theorem. So let's start. Given that f belongs to R of alpha on interval AB, and also f is bounded on interval AB, let m and capital M be the GLB and LUB of function f on interval AB. So as we have to prove this theorem with the help of composition theorem, we will define a function phi on the interval m, capital M. So define function phi on the interval m, capital M, such that phi of t is equals to mod of t for t belongs to m, capital M, and it is continuous function. This phi is continuous. So the composition of function h of x is defined as the composition of function h of x is defined as h of x is equals to phi of f of x for x belongs to AB. Since phi of t is equals to mod t, then phi of f of x will be equal to mod of f of x for x belongs to interval AB. We know by composition theorem that h belongs to R of alpha, and henceforth mod of f will belongs to R of alpha on interval AB. So the first part is proved of the theorem. So to prove this next part, that is mod of integral f d alpha less than integral mod f d alpha, we have f less than mod of f. This implies integral f d alpha is less than integral mod f d alpha. Let's take it number 1. Also we have minus f is less than mod of f. So minus integral f d alpha is less than integral mod of d alpha. Take it 1. So from 1 and 2, mod of integral f d alpha is less than integral mod of f d alpha, and hence the theorem is proved. In next lecture, we will start with third article of this unit, which is integration and differentiation. Thank you.